is your STEP May Talking Circle. And let's see, let's get disclaimed. This presentation was produced under the U.S. Department of Education, contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises Incorporated. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred. All righty, now that we've got disclaimed, let's move on to see what we're talking about during this talking circle. We're going to go through some reminders and announcements, and then take a few moments to really have some APR reflection in order to either help support you in your NCE or your FPR. Also, we're going to do some program sharing and then finish up with some upcoming events. Today, we're joined by your interim STEP program officer, Donna Bussell. Hey, Donna.
Hi, Alani.
Hi.
Hi, Casey.
Good morning.
Hey, Carl. I didn't see you there. Who else is here?
I just jumped in.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone.
Thanks for joining, Carl. And thanks for joining everyone. I am Olani Lily. I'll be your walking you through this talking circle. But before we get started, I wanted to provide some reminders and announcements. I wanted to let you know that the new STEP grant competition is out. We've already yesterday had a pre-application webinar. We'll be having another one coming up June 1st. So if you didn't make the yesterday's, please, you might want to jump into the June 1st session. Proposals are due on July 3rd. And for more information, you can always go to this link, and let me just put that link in the chat so you can access that. Oh, shucks. Sorry about that. Let me just grab that. Oh, my chat's not working. Okay, well, let me move on and I will try to get that up for you in the chat. And if not, we'll make sure to send that with the slides. I want to remind you again, if you haven't registered yet, please make sure that you register for the upcoming project directors meeting. Again, all project directors are required to attend. However, we also want to invite your entire team. We do have, last year we could only take register 3 people from your organization, but now you can include more than 3. We really want to encourage you to maybe invite your fiscal people, your project staff, as well as maybe some of your partners. There's going to be a lot of really good content delivered, not just on OIE grants, but also I know you folks are aware sort of issues and topics that are of interest across Native American and Alaska Native education landscape. Thanks, Casey, for throwing that those links in the chat. So Casey put in the PD meeting registration. So if you haven't done so, you can click there. You can go ahead and do that now as we run through the announcements. Also, for more info on the STEP grant competition, Casey also included that link there. And so just wanted to give you folks a heads up. I know we're coming out of APR season, and maybe after going through the APR and looking at your budget and where your project activities are, it might be a good time to sort of take stock and determine whether or not you want to submit a budget revision or not. Normally, OIE likes to you can continue to provide or submit a budget revision all the way up until sort of the month prior to the last month of your grant year. And so that would probably be by the end of August, you'd want to submit a budget revision. That should probably be the really the last time that you are allowed to and available to submit a budget revision, because then you have about a month left to close out the year. You really want to take a time to review expenditures. Again, look at your project measures, determine maybe, you're getting, there's a lot of interest in a particular area, and, for maybe we see a lot of times savings in personnel, because maybe some personnel have left and other personnel have had to take up that position's work. And so you have some savings there. But you have a lot of interest maybe happening in another area of your project. So you want to reallocate those funds. Now's the time, if that's actually occurring, to do a budget revision. Also, it's a great time to meet with your program and budget staff to really sort of reconcile your financial with what's happening with your program activities. Then go ahead and complete a budget revision form and submit that budget revision form to your program officer. We'd also really appreciate it if you would also CC the OIE at SEIservices.com, just so that we can keep a record of that budget revision and support you in any way. Really want to encourage you to take this time again to submit and contemplate submitting a budget revision. Of course, there's the optional budget revision form that you have that you will want to use. Definitely, you want to, in your budget revision form, make sure in the narrative column that you are providing, a robust justification for the reallocation of funds. Also for STEP, we have really getting time to decide whether you are going to do a no-cost extension or complete your final performance reports. And these are for fiscal year 20 grantees only. Really, when it comes to an NCE, there are two main questions you need to ask yourself. One, have we been making substantial progress? And then two, do we have objectives or tasks to complete? And then, three is really to determine whether you have remaining grant funds to expend. You really need to, if you've completed all your tasks, but you still have grant funds, then that really doesn't qualify you to apply for or request an NCE. However, if you have some objectives or tasks that you need to complete and you have some remaining funds, that puts you in the perfect position to request an NCE. However, if you completed all your tasks and maybe you have a little bit of funds left over, you will probably be interested in submitting your final performance report. Now, remember, the final performance report is due 120 days after the end of your grant year.
So I have a question,
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe a couple questions. So some of those activities that are part of the grant are sort of things that we made substantial progress, but we still have a ways to go. And so like work-based learning, we, are still kind of catching up due to COVID and really establishing that program, working with the LEA, back and forth, capacity building activities, I believe is one. That's kind of one of those ongoing things that, we've established a good relationship. We were invited in to do PD. We have a team of people from the tribe, including myself, that go in and do PD. We're invited in to participate in activities that the LEA is doing. So we've established a good working relationship. But that's kind of one of those things that's ongoing. Of course, the charter school is up and running and we're fine tuning that. And I think we've achieved that goal of, taking those steps to start up a charter school. So I guess, we made substantial progress, and if we have enough money to extend through an NCE to continue into next school year, that's something that we could adjust our budget and do. I'm just curious what your thoughts are as far as substantial progress and then ongoing relationship and just working with the school district.
Mhm. Go ahead, Donna.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
a lot of our programs, thankfully, make substantial progress throughout their grant, life cycle, which is what we want. When we're looking at whether to have someone go ahead and complete a no-cost extension year, that you could have up to 12 months. You could, if you had funds and activities that would only stretch the next 3 months, we do that, or the next 2 months, or 6 months, or up to 12 months. As long as you have, those remaining grant funds and a task or activities that would still support your objectives. So if there's still tasks and activities that you would like to do to support those objectives, then yeah, of course, no cost extension, I would definitely go that route rather than, have any funds left on the table. So the thing that we don't want to see someone saying, well, I have, $50,000 left over. We want a no cost extension just to pay so-and-so for something that has nothing to do with your grant, which has happened. So as long as there, we can support and say, we have these activities that we still want to do that support objective A, B, C, and D, and you already are making substantial progress, that just means, well, you're already doing what you need to be doing. You're just, extending this out another year or however many months is totally acceptable for a no cost extension. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's very helpful because, we're still, we still have work to do in like doing standard operating procedures and professional development, just kind of writing out some of those things, the goals for the school. Of course, it's only been open for a year. So, really enhancing the work that we do with the parent advisory committee there. And then just continue refining our relationship for capacity building activities between the district and the tribe. I think we have a good case for extending it 3 to 6 months.
Right, and as long as we're seeing that in the budget sheet, making sure those are in the narratives, connecting it to your objectives that you have in the grant, connecting it or citing it to your grant application that you had, and making sure those funds are utilized for that, and knowing that there's no additional funds in your no cost extension. It's just whatever funds are remaining with your grant.
Yep, that's the case, and we'll take a look at that FY22 step application too. So thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
great. Yeah, great question. Thanks, Carl. Also, if you are thinking that you're going to be completing a final performance report, we will be going more in depth into how to do that, what needs to be completed in the August talking circle. So we hope that you attend that talking circle because we're going to provide more information. And then again, if you aren't able to, you will be able to pick up the recording and get the slides as well. Awesome. I just want to take a pause to really celebrate you folks. We had 100% of STEP grantees submit their APRs on time via G5 system. So yay, that's amazing. We're really, really happy that you were all able to make the due dates, and we're excited already. Your program officers are digging into the APRs to review. And so that's really exciting news. And we're just really happy to see everyone be able to submit on time via the G5. So congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Mine's
So
gonna look a little bit wonky just because like I did that first one and then I couldn't add project goals under each one. So I ended up, it's going to look a little funny, but I just could not I clicked on the buttons and I would get this PDF, and it just, so
Huh.
I just had a problem with the G5 when I was doing it. So I ended up just kind of finding a workaround. So if there's a problem that I need to fix, don't hesitate to let me know. But
Yeah.
if you look at mine, you'll see that some of the most of the project measures are under A1. And I just couldn't put them under A2, A3, A4, A5.
That's great. I mean, that's fine. We'll
Yeah.
be definitely looking for that information. And I know sometimes G5 can be a little wonky, and grantees put Section C is a really great place that grantees put all different kinds of information that they aren't able to figure out how to get into G5. So we'll find it for sure.
That's great.
And
Yeah, I put stuff in more than one place just to make it.
And I was a second grade teacher, and you know how second graders write and put everything in middle school. I'll find it. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife was a second grade teacher, so I know. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So we wanted to just take a couple moments to really spend time. I mean, the APR season, I know sometimes it's a lot of work to put together the reports, but definitely I'm sure what you find is that you are maybe reflecting on the previous year's work and are maybe projecting to what you want to do in the future. And so what we did was I came up with a little, let's see, a whiteboard exercise for us to do. And let me stop sharing and we'll get to that. The exercise is called Start, Stop, and Continue. And I really want you to sort of take yourself back to the APR, trying to reflect on what kind of information you put in, the processes you use to gather those information in order to be able to answer these 3 questions. What should we start? So maybe, I mean, going through your APR, you decide, you know what, we met with our fiscal, we brought our program and fiscal team, our budget team together when we were doing the APR, and that was really it worked really well. And so we want to start doing that maybe monthly as we reconcile our financial and our books along with our projects so that we are staying on top. So that's something we want to start and do maybe monthly or, you know, every 2 months. That's an example of something you may have wanted to start. What should we stop? Maybe one of the things in going over and preparing your APR, one of the things is that maybe you saved it to the last minute. Maybe you want to stop doing that and you want to put and build in your APR reporting into maybe a monthly or maybe every 2 months review of your objectives, your tasks, and your budget. Maybe that's something. So you want to stop putting it to the last minute and you want to build in systems. And then what should we continue? So maybe there's something that you're doing that's been working really well for you. And we'd love for you to share what those processes or strategies you want to continue to use. And so I'm going to stop sharing this screen and move to the whiteboards that I created. And I like this because now I can see you folks. And share. Okay. Can you folks see that? Oh, I see people there.
Mm.
Okay, so let me just orient you to the screen. Let me get this bigger. So you have these tabs, these sticky notes here. You can just click there and be able to type in the sticky notes. Or if you want to create a new sticky note, you can, on the left-hand side, you see this toolbar. You just scroll down to where it says sticky notes, click there, pick your color. I want to do green.
Oh, Lonnie, your
Yes.
is completely black.
Oh, well, that's no fun. Hold on a second.
I see it, but you can't see it, Allison?
No, the screen is completely black. I have a row of people at the top, the chat down the side, and everything else is black.
Okay, I'm going to share the link in the chat, Allison, so.
Yeah, I see Carl's in there using it.
It required me to request access, so I've sent you a request for access.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's no fun. Why can't I? Hmm. Oh, yeah, I don't see you on here, Allison. Let me. And it's not showing me. Why is that? Hold on a sec. Allison, if you could just maybe share in the chat for now until I can figure out how to get you on the board. Maybe something you want to stop, start, or continue, and then I am going to try to figure out how to get you on the board. Maybe if I make you co-host. Let's see if you show up now. No?
I'll just use the chat.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. This has been technical difficulties week for me.
Oh.
Everything's good. I will
Oh,
just
no.
roll with it.
Oh, well, thank you for your flexibility and rolling with it attitude. I'm sorry there's been a technical difficulty. We've kind of had a little bit of that too. In the sessions we've been running this week.
Yeah, in the middle of my Board of Education meeting, we were 15 minutes in and my laptop died.
Oh,
The
gosh.
yeah, the battery died and I had 2 board members online, 2 in person, and my staff was online. And so we're gonna have to have the board meeting next week and reschedule.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, apparently the plug that I had plugged my laptop into was not working.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's all good. We're just gonna roll with it.
Oh my gosh, I would have been stressed out about that.
I was, but you just, like I said, I just gotta, woo, okay,
Yeah, there's not
Let's
much you
go.
can do, right?
not much you can do.
Let's see, I'm gonna try and send it via this way. Mm. Okay, one more way. Oh, so weird.
It's okay, Olani, don't worry about me.
Okay, okay.
Press forward, sweetheart.
All right,
It's
all right,
okay.
move. All righty, yeah, because I'm not gonna be able to solve this right
Yeah,
now.
it's okay.
All right, okay, now where is my cursor? There it is, okay. All righty, so let me go ahead and, again, we're just talking about and sharing things we want to stop. Maybe something we want to start, and then another what we want to continue. And this is just, again, all reflecting on your APR, what you put in the report. So it can be processes, programs, maybe even partnerships. I know you folks have a lot of important partners. So one of the things, and let me just sort of read off some of these notes here. So under what should we start? We have adding more detail to our Outlook appointments because that is a tool we use to track our activities. Nice. Also another, what should we start? Organize activities based on the goals. Great. What should we continue? Continue regular dialogue with our finance department, reviewing and tracking budget expenditures. Awesome. Awesome. Allison, did you have anything you wanted to share about maybe something you would want to stop, start, or continue?
Well, one thing that we do, and I'm going to continue to do, is I open an APR file for each
Mhm.
year. And then things that occur for that I want to report on, or
Mhm.
that I want to save and attach to the report, pictures, flyers, information, I drop in there because yeah, it's going to be saved in other files for other things, but things specific to the APR, I drop in there, especially if it, if I'm going to need to follow up on it, like it's going to be a 999.
Yeah.
I put that in the folder and I mark whatever the title is, I start it with 999
Oh,
so
wow.
that I know, oh, I'm gonna have to come back to this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great, yes.
Also on the report, in the areas where we do the various section A sections,
Right, right.
I name the information that I need to collect for that form. I name it GEPRA 6 or GEPRA 7 or GEPRA 3 or something like that. So I know when I go to gather my data, I pull it. That's what we do in our tracking spreadsheet. I created something with the drop-down list and the
Right.
different measures on it. And then I can choose, and it can serve 1 or 2 or 3 measures, sometimes a GEPRA measure and a project goal at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great way to help organize, and like cue you in to what you need to go back to. So thanks for sharing that tip and that strategy process. Let's see what else we have here. I know, Allison, you do continuous improvement in your organization. How do you take whatever is happening, whatever you're reporting in your APR, do you apply that to your continuous improvement process, or is it a result of, or maybe both, of your continuous improvement process?
It goes back and forth. So I
Yeah.
would say that because I have monthly board meetings and I have monthly meetings with my contractors that help me, like Humboldt County Office of Ed, Northern Humboldt Union High School District, that help with program evaluation. We have monthly meetings.
Yeah.
So the continuous process, and I have to report to our board. So I do an executive director's report to the board, and every one of the grants is broken out. So I can share that with you if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure. If you, am I able to share my screen? I don't know.
Yeah, you should be. When I was trying to figure out how to get you access, I made you co-host, so you should.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll pull that up for you so you can see what an executive director's report looks like to the Board of Education. And it gets pretty detailed for them. That way they can ask me lots of questions and I can do follow-up on that.
Yeah.
So let me find it, executive director report. Okay, here we go. It's going to open up and I will do share screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so this we had to reschedule because last week, so this is my report. So what I do is they have at the top, they know what it is, they know whose salary's in it, they know when it's ending, and then I break it down by who we've hired, what's the field trips going on, give them all the information, what we're planning on purchasing, how that's going to be used to meet goals. So I do all of this for them. So it's like, here's the step. Again, we have training coming up. We have training scheduled. We're extending contracts. And I tell them it meets GEPRA 1, and so that they know.
Yeah.
And that way, when I go back, I have a monthly report every single month. And then I go through it and I go, okay, this APR goes from October to March. I pull
Ah.
up all of my reports for October to March. And then I am able to pick all the stuff out of it and fill out my APR. Particularly because I put things like, this is for GEPRA 1 or this is for
Yes.
that. And, all of the various coordinations that we do to increase LEA capacity. So here's the school board meetings and the parent advisory meetings and the we're first ever Native American Day. So I let our board know about those specific accomplishments. And then
Yeah.
I can put those right in and see, here's GEPRA 3 on how
Yeah.
we're planning on doing that. And that's how I put together. So the report, it's an 8-page long report. And I talk about the various students, all the different other grants that we manage that help pay for other things, like, because the STEP grant is all about organizing and getting things together, policies, procedures, building relationships, but not with direct services to students, right?
Yeah.
So I organize everything underneath here, like all the student internships, but the actual internships or externships for teachers are
Yeah.
paid for by other grants.
Yeah.
So I put that in there for them to see that. And then I give them all the MOUs, like whenever we have to review MOUs that we're signing between us and the Department of Health and Human Services or whatever. So this helps me write
Yes.
the report. And you can see I get pretty detailed, and I do that every single month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great way to like operationalize and embed, I'm sure you use it not just for the STEP, but for all the other grants as
For
well.
all of them. And I have an action I'll share this with you too. What helps also is having a template here. I'll pull up for the CARB grant. Oh, I saved that on the Google Drive. Because we coordinate with people, right? So I have
Right.
to be flexible, put things on drives, because you're
Right.
going to have other agencies. So when we do our plan, do, check, act,
Yeah.
we have the plan, and the plan is the action plan, right?
Yeah.
And then we have our we're doing
Right.
stuff. And so while we're doing stuff, as I record expenditures or whatnot, we have our account codes, and I sort things by account so I can pull everything together. And then on my tracking spreadsheet, I have put GEPRA this or project goal that, so that I can understand where this needs to be reported. And am I meeting the goal? Because I tend to budget by goals and activities, like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to be doing this improvement or that expansion or whatnot, and how much money do I need? And then that's going to be reported over here, because people go, well, how much did that cost to do that?
Yes.
And if you don't do that, then you're
Right.
not able to go, oh, California Native Day was this much money or whatnot. So what we do is we have a template. Let me see if I can share my screen. So we have a template that we use. This is our template, and it describes our action plan and what I expect staff and community partners to put in our that, and then what I expect project special notes that we're going to be using, right? So then, here we are, our specific, and then we fill out these, as we work on it, we fill these out. So we're working on the training and accessibility of the site monitors, which is partial under STEP and under CARB.
Right.
And then we list the various things, like here's the site training and rollout that we're planning right now. So I've got the measurables, the achievable, who's doing it, realistic, timely. And then we have phase 1. And I say, phase 1 is going to be $25 a person for that, supply cost, hourly rates, links to information. And then how are we going to get things to children's school? We're going to do it on a quarterly basis, blah, blah, blah. Well, then we have the community outreach plan right here. And so I know when what the training is, who's it going to be. We're going to do it before August, who are resources, the teachers that are going to be trained will have that information, how we're going to get it out. So we plan this all out, and then we have an idea of what it's going to look like. We want it to look like that, have a QR code as an example of a cutesy way to provide information to parents. So we save all of this stuff.
Yes.
And we plan it together as a part of our plan, do, check, act. And that's how I know whether we're making progress towards implementation. Is if it's still in yellow, it means I still need it from you. And we color code stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, just to keep, I know when you're managing all of that, right? It's helpful to have, we're like, okay, there's yellow and it's still blank, right? I mean, it just sort of cues you when you're managing all those
Yeah.
grants and all those peoples and those programs and activities. Thank you for sharing, Allison.
You're welcome. I mean, if it gives anybody an idea or helps people organize stuff, if I didn't do the monthly thing, we've got 11 grants.
Right.
Okay. So if I didn't do the monthly report to the Board of Education and keep everything like that, I don't know how I would end up filling out all of my things, because just between March 17th and May 1st, I had 6 reports due. They were either semi-annual performance reports, annual performance reports, or final performance reports.
Right.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is a lot, all at one time, right?
All at one
season.
time, and 3 grant applications due at the same time too.
Yeah.
So
well,
you got a lot of balls juggling in the air. Woo!
Yeah.
And if it were not for everybody owning their piece, that's the one
Yes.
thing I really have to say. I don't do the APR completely on my own.
right.
That's why I have Jeff Morales is one of our program evaluators on one program, and I've got various staff here and there everywhere, and I give them pieces and I say, do this, do this, do this, do this. Check back with me at least
Yeah.
once before this, and I give them dates and deadlines.
Yeah,
You got to delegate,
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to explode.
right,
It's just-
exactly.
it's just going to happen.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and then, on top of that, now you have to like manage that, right? And which I think that last tool you showed is a great sort of tool to, again, cue you into what needs to get done, still needs to get completed, who you need to check in with, and that, like you said, everyone was engaged in that plan. And so
Mhm.
there really shouldn't be any like,
Surprises.
Yeah.
And you can see what has left to be done because it's
Yes.
blank, like
Yeah.
our action plan. And when we do it, it's like, okay, and I have cues and prompts in there. All right, we're going to get a community outreach. Who do we need to talk to? Marketing communications, press releases. And then we have a list, like a community partner list, like the one that we submitted in our report, that says who are
Yeah.
your active community partners versus your inactive community partners.
Right.
So we have an active list. That's how I was easy just to go, bam, I knew exactly who
Yeah.
to put that into.
Yeah.
And they get an email with a link to the Google Sheet and says, here's this, here's that, blah, blah, blah. And what can you do in the way of outreach? How can you send this on your listserv to all
Yes.
the people that came to your last gathering?
Yes.
And that's how we get the word out.
Yeah.
I will say it's labor intensive
Yeah.
to keep all of that going. But I have a list of 214 contacts that
Yeah.
I know are good, and
Right.
I get communication back from. So it
Important.
works. It's
Yeah.
just really labor intensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on a second. Somebody's mowing. Yeah. I hear you. It is labor intensive, but sometimes you need to put the labor up front, right? So that like when it's the season of writing grants and writing reports, you're not going crazy. It's there at your fingertips. So awesome system. Carl or Esther, what kind of system do you use in order to pull together all of your items that you need to report on? Because I know with starting a charter school, you're not just reporting on STEP, you're probably reporting to, your state, to maybe an LEA or SEA. Want to share that?
Yeah, I'll talk. First, just want to say I'm not looking for a job, but if I'd want to work for Atlas. I mean, you're right. If you don't stay organized like that, you just get buried and swamped and things slip through the cracks. And that transparency with all your programs, the way you have it laid out, that's so important. And if you're engaged in continuous improvement process like you are, you want other people to see and be able to see the details of what you're doing and how you're doing it, so you can get that feedback. And it's just, it's as a former administrator in the school district, that's how I was used to operating. Things are different with us currently. We just, Esther and I have the one grant, so on the one hand, I'm just super happy to just have one grant and just focus on that one grant. And it's allowed us to really go deep. But we basically, we meet with the APC, we keep minutes. I started a learning campus leadership team. So we have 7 people that meet every 2 weeks, and that's just something I did because I was just so frustrated because we don't have the benefit of a TEA director like Allison. So we have a very different approach, and it's extremely frustrating, to be honest with you. So I know this is being recorded, so I'm not going to go into detail, but we could really benefit from an organization like what Allison just shared. But on our end, as far as our STEP grant, that's what we do. We keep notes and minutes of all our meetings, and we use Outlook for our calendar, and then we'll put the details in those. And then what happens is you'll see it in our APR, but Esther keeps them color coded by
Nice.
Gepper measure, and then organizes them by Gepper measure, color coded, and then by the dates from the beginning of the reporting period to the end. And so we're able to track our activities that way. It's a very simple method. Doesn't, if I had multiple grants, we would definitely do something different. But for what we're doing, we keep the minutes, we keep the meeting appointments, and we describe what we're doing in the meeting, and then have the minutes to go back to if we need them.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we do quarterly reports to the tribal council just on this one grant, and the education committee that's under the TEA, which right now it's just one council member. It's a small council, it's a 5-member council. So we just had a meeting yesterday. So we provide written updates as to our grant activities, progress, and challenges to the council briefly. And of course, the council, when they're meeting, they're going over, the entire system, which right now the system here has grown considerably in the last 3 or 4 years, but the organization and operations have not necessarily kept up. So we're seeing improvement, but it's very, very slow. Those ground level meetings that need to occur on a weekly and bi-monthly basis are just now starting to occur with multiple grants, so that we could work together. And we're fortunate that we have multiple grants, but getting the grant directors or grant managers to work together, that's been something that hasn't come from the top. It's more of a grassroots thing, and been resistance to that. So it's been challenging, but I still have a little bit of energy left at the tail end of my career. I'm not constantly thinking about Arizona. Pretty darn close.
Well, that's good to hear. But I know, when you have some significant growth, it can be a little bumpy road trying to, pull all the pieces, building behaviors around collaborating and sharing information. And so, but if you keep up with it, I'm sure, it'll work itself out, and people will begin to get in the habit of that.
Yeah, we're starting to see that, we're starting to see that collaboration. And
That's all.
it's starting to move in the right direction, but honestly, it's been super frustrating.
I feel you. I understand, Carl. I mean, it was not always hunky-dory, rosy, peachy here when it's been hard fought to make sure the meetings happen monthly, and everybody wants to cancel or reschedule, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I tell people, if you can't make it, I'll send you the minutes or I'll send you whatever, but we have to press forward.
Yeah.
And usually when I have something like that happen, the people that come to the meeting, they usually get something exciting out of the meeting. Like, I'm like, oh, we'll be able to fund classroom libraries for da 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 da. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, yay. And the people that don't show up to the meeting don't get that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's a
it's-
good way, we've got note takers at the meeting, so we've been doing this for 3 months now, the leadership team meetings, and so two meetings prior to this last one, the note takers haven't submitted the minutes yet. So, my solution is they're taking them on a piece of paper and then they're typing them in. Well, the last two before this one, day before yesterday, didn't get done. So I got to get a laptop, and I'm going to bring an extra laptop, and I've got to, whoever volunteers to be the note taker is just going to type them into the agenda immediately, because we didn't have that problem. Now we have the problem. Now we have to find a solution to that problem. The other thing I would say is, for me personally, I'm used to being the one organizing and putting together the standard operating procedures for collaboration and feedback and organizing things. I'm not in that position now. So that's actually difficult for me and it's been difficult. So I'm just trying to navigate in a nice way to get things moved in the right direction, but I'm not that nice sometimes, I think.
do you ever record your meetings, Carl?
We have not recorded them, and I'm not sure how that would go over yet.
Well, I mean, we always have our meetings on Zoom, and I record to the cloud on Zoom. And that way I can also, if I don't have the time or someone's not having the time, I'm like, where's the minutes, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, I haven't had the time. And I was like, okay, I can take the Zoom recording and I can share the link and I'll send it to somebody else. I'm like, who will volunteer to get this done? Because we need to have it done by XYZ date.
Yeah.
Somebody step up, either step
Yeah.
up or I'm going to assign it.
Yeah, I think
That's
especially for our APC meetings. So I don't have the ability to sign things to anybody except for Esther. And Esther's got a lot on her plate. So I always look for volunteers for the people that are at the meeting. And I've had good volunteers. It's just the ball's been dropped a couple times. But I like the idea of recording the meeting, especially when it comes to the governing body for the charter school.
Yeah, that I would say that's super important, because you'll always have someone goes, I don't think that was said. And you can go, pull up the meeting.
And we were
here's-
recording. I don't know if we recorded the last few because we do more face-to-face meetings. But that is definitely an advantage of Zoom.
Yeah. And that's why I include Zoom in every grant application in my other section of the budget. It is so worth it. Besides the fact that you can schedule meetings that go more than 40 minutes,
Right.
be able to record things to the cloud that then you can share to your community partners so they can review it. And when you say, have you read the minutes? Do I get an approval of the previous meeting's minutes? They could have gone back and watched the recording. They've had, you know what I mean? It's a way to make sure that everybody, the accountability and transparency, even though we as a tribe don't have to apply go with the Brown Act, we still do. We go by it. And so all of our minutes and everything are out there for people to see and experience. And if they go, I don't believe that was said, like I said, I share them the Zoom link and nip that in the bud.
Yeah, thanks. We've been working for 3 months just to get a camera installed in our meeting room so that we could do that. And we still don't have the camera in there. So
you can use a laptop, or I mean, that's what I do. I use my laptop.
Yeah. So I might have to do that in the future.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're working on like dealing with the minutes piece by bringing your computer. Sometimes it is difficult when you can't like assign, you don't have the authority to assign and delegate. But the other thing too is that maybe the team, and maybe that's just a standard operating procedure of the team, is that somebody gets the recording and does the recording. Because even in Google, you can, with your meeting minutes, you can go ahead and create attached Google Notes that you can go ahead and, to the invite, when you do a Google Meet or a Google invite, you can do an attached meeting notes to that, and then it'll resend it out. Also, you can get
put the agenda up and have them type in
right there, like you said.
but I'm the only one that comes to a meeting with a
With the
laptop.
computer, yeah. So that's the other,
We got a few things to work on. These
yeah,
great suggestions, and
Yeah.
I think it's a work in progress. At least we're having the meetings now, which we haven't been having. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Steps forward, right? Small steps forward. Also, Google Meets does do also transcription. So it will take I mean, if you record something, it can transcribe it. But, that's a mess too. You still got to go through and clean it up because it's just people really talking. But just some other tools. Awesome, you guys. I mean, it's really interesting
Thank
to
you.
hear about, the operation side of the APR, the APR is sort of the end result, I think, of what you have operationally going on in your organization in order to sort of be able to provide the information. Some really helpful hints, I think, particularly for grantees, maybe new grantees, new organizations that are new grantees who might have multiple grants now, like, Carl, like you said, you kind of had some growth in your organization and sort of what are the systems you can put in place. So again, thank you for sharing, you guys. That was really, really awesome. Let me go back and share back my screen. Okay. So I was wondering if you folks have what's going on this summer, if you have any activities that you have planned for the summer months, maybe maybe you're just developing new partnerships, or maybe even just planning for the next year. What do you have going on this summer?
Well, I have teacher externships. We have 2 teachers that have signed up for externships, and we're going to be putting them through externships this summer. I also have several students applied for the Native American Climate Adaptation Leadership Congress, and
Yes.
17 of them were accepted. So we have those students. Go ahead, Corby, have a seat. We have 17 students going in June to that. We have a credit recovery camp going on this summer with Cal Poly Humboldt. It's a robotics and algebra camp, so kids can get math credit recovery. That's
Nice.
happening this summer. We are also planning some gathering activities. Actually, Corby just got here right now. We're hiring a new teacher. Yay. And hopefully she's going to be able to work with us on scheduling field trips for students to do gathering, and then work on our mural that we have in our community garden. The other thing, we're planning on teacher training this summer. We've got, I think, 3 teacher trainings scheduled. One on the air quality curriculum. You saw me pull that up. We're going to be doing the air quality curriculum. One on My Sisters. It's a basket curriculum. And then another one called Soldiers Unknown, which is about World War I and the Yurok tribe and some of their members that were in World War I, and there's curriculum on that. So
Awesome.
lots of stuff besides having, I think we have committee meetings every week from now and through August for the first annual, hopefully annual, California Indian Day celebration, California Native Day celebration for Eureka City Schools. Through our collaboration with them and the Parent Advisory Committee, they've decided that they'd like to do that. And based upon our success in Both Worlds Conference with Northern Humboldt Union High School District this year, they were like, well, we'd like to do something like that. So whenever they do one, we'll do one, and we'll alter every other year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's working out really nice, but that's this summer.
Busy.
Oh, yeah.
So I can share
Yeah.
a couple things that we're doing, and I'm going to give Esther a heads up. I'm going to ask her to share too, so about her summer activities. But first, we're just wrapping up a Indigenous culturally responsive teaching class. We had 27 teachers. We're hosting that. It's been on Saturdays. This next weekend, this coming Saturday and Sunday are the it's been on Saturdays, but this weekend we're trying to get our hours in on Saturday and Sunday. The last class will be Tuesday from 5 to 7. It's a 3-credit college course, and it's being taught in partnership with Alaska Pacific University and the Alaska Native Heritage Center, and we're hosting it at the Connect Tribe STEAM Academy. So Esther and I are in there. And so that's been a nice partnership. We're wrapping that up. This spring, we did a Indigenous epistemologies class that we paid for teacher tuition for anybody that would take it from the charter school or wherever. We only had one person take that course. And so that course wrapped up. Currently, I'm working with the local school district. I'm sitting in on an education hiring team for the IEA grant, the Indian Ed grant. So I'm sitting in, I think our last interviews are this afternoon. So we work with them over the school year to kind of change up their model for the graduation coaches to student success coaches. And we moved it out of a certified position to more of a classified position with higher expectations for education and background related to students. And we offered 8 positions through the school district for that, and we had 40 applicants. So whatever changes we made turned out to be very popular, and we've had some really good applicants. We're still not getting the number of Indigenous applicants that we would like to see. It's just been difficult, but it's a step in the right direction. The school district has 20% Alaska Native students, or right around 17 to 20%, but only 2% of the teachers are Alaska Native within the local school district. So we thought maybe this position could be a stepping stone, something more than a classroom aide, not quite a teacher. It's kind of midway between a classroom aide and a teacher as far as salary and responsibility. So we're working on those things. And then there's a lot of summer activities that are going on, but our teachers at the charter school, I think they're ending the year. We have 2 kids graduating next week.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. 100% graduation rate. And we're going to end up doubling the number of students almost that are coming to the charter school. We've had a lot of interest, and the facilities are getting upgraded. They've been upgraded, but they're going to continue that work. And so there's some facilities work this summer as far as putting in the water and sewer and upgrading the portable kitchen. And we'll have to talk about how we're going to use that kitchen, because we'll have 200 kids.
Wow.
We have a small lunchroom, and so we're having to just work through that. But there's a lot of summer activities that the kids can participate in through the Choices Grant or the ACE Grant, and a few other A&E grants. So part of doing that leadership team is make sure everybody knows all the different opportunities. And there will be credit recovery courses at the school this summer with using Apex, and we're looking at trying to get some of our summer cultural camps to receive credit through the charter school for high school kids. So but that's a work in progress, and there's been resistance on the part of the instructors that the tribe has to do the paperwork and do what's necessary, the scope and sequence, and the work. They just want to throw together a camp and go have fun, but if they just do a couple extra steps like a scope and sequence and a detailed schedule of the class, then the principal that we've hired can approve the class for high school credit. But there's resistance to do that little bit of extra work, so we're trying to.
Carl, can I ask you about your teachers, and do you have them on a teacher contract that specifies that they have to have lesson plans approved prior? What does it say about their lesson plans?
So our charter school teachers, is that what you're asking about?
The ones that are resistant to doing the paperwork.
So those are instructors, and those are not actual teachers. I think a couple of them might have bachelor's degrees, but most of them are 2-year. They're more CTE type instructors. They do 3D, they do cultural camps and things, and they work directly for the tribe. So they don't work, the charter school is through the district. And so of course, those classroom teachers are all certified. So, yeah, so what's the expectation? And can I get that program leader to establish that as an expectation? I am essentially a coworker trying to convince them that it's important to do.
Yeah,
If, when I mentioned it months ago, I got crickets, no response. And so just continually putting a little bit of pressure and having that conversation. At the meeting on Tuesday, there seemed to be, we had the director of the TEA was there, and there seemed to be a little bit of, yeah, maybe we'll look into that type thing, but not a ton of enthusiasm. And
yeah,
so we would have a teacher of record, which would also be the principal that would vet those classes, make sure they met requirements to get credit, and then he could
Right.
apply for credit. That would be the model that we would use. But I'm not asking the principal to go in there and look through their agenda and come up with their scope and sequence for them. We're providing them a template, and then all they have to do is fill in the template.
Yeah.
Mm,
They've done that for other courses during the school year. It's just these summer courses, they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's going to require some work. Okay, Esther, you got to follow me up with more stuff that you're doing.
I wonder why they don't want to do it for the summer courses, but they're okay with doing it for the courses throughout the year. What makes the summer courses so different that they don't want to do the planning document that you say that they have?
Yeah, and that's a question that I've asked, and I've not gotten a response. But I do know that I do know that they're like, well, that's the school's job. I've heard, I left the room and somebody came out of the room and said, Carl, you wouldn't believe what they said. So there's that sort of resistance that I'm getting. It's this back and forth, like it's not my job.
Right.
There's some of that stuff, and it's just.
But they do get paid for the teaching the courses, right?
They get, yeah. I mean, they're on full-time salary.
And they in their either do they have a job description or a contract?
Well, here's the situation, I think. So the person that's in your parallel position that you're in is not pushing for those things to happen. As long as it's not coming from the supervisor, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I have to convince the supervisor to make this a priority, and I'm running into resistance there. So it could happen and it could motivate, but it's just not, I'm just not getting the cooperation to make it happen from the person that could make it happen.
Do they not see the value in it, or it's just too much added work for them to direct? Or I mean, I'm just trying to think, what is the barrier that is to getting it complete? And do they see the cost? Is there a cost benefit to it? Like, it takes me 6 hours, yes, but the benefit is, I mean, do they, I'm just trying to think of a way, I don't know, to convince them that it's worth their time.
I've gone over the head and I've talked with the CEO, and he sees the benefit of it, and he's responded to me that he sees the benefit of it. And so I've tried to tie him into some of these discussions through email, because he doesn't come to the meeting. So he was going to come to the meeting on Tuesday, but he had something come up. So he called me at the very beginning of the meeting. He supports the offering of credit, but again, it has to come in the form of a directive, because that resistance doesn't go away without the directive and follow-up. So you have to have the directive, and then you have to have the follow-up on a regular basis to make sure people are following through. A directive and then no follow-up, and then if it's not done, it just encourages that resistant behavior, right? So that's kind of what I've been dealing with over the course of the year.
Oh, Carl, if I could hug you. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's frustrating.
Yeah. But thanks for sharing. I mean, because I think the other thing too, I mean, I know it's just us, but I think a lot of organizations face this type of I guess habits, and internal, like operational challenges. And so,
Yeah, certain personalities
Yeah.
or,
yeah,
you
and
know, it's
differences.
just a combination of things.
Yeah.
It's just a lot easier to deal with when I'm the supervisor and
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
supervisors.
I know. I
Yeah,
know.
I
You-
think the only thing I can think of is, if they have a contract, if they're a teacher on contract, then somewhere in their teacher contract, it should specify that lesson plans and various things, it should be somewhere in their teacher contract. If they're an independent contractor, then in the scope of work, you can put in there that plans need to be submitted XYZ before.
Yeah, well, you gave me a
can do
good
that.
idea. I'll take a look at the job descriptions.
Yeah,
And once again, all I can do is like say,
Yeah.
hey, it says it in the job description, then how come it's not happening?
right. And
Because
it's
like,
not-
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, one of the other things I tell people is like, well, I require everybody to do this. It's in your job description or it's in the contract. If I am requiring them to do it and they do it and I pay them to do it and you're not doing it, how is it fair to everybody else on the team and morale if everybody else is doing it but you? And why should I continue to pay you what I'm paying you if you're not fulfilling and everybody else is doing it too? You see how that,
But, yeah, and the situation is nobody's doing it and they're all,
oh, nobody's doing
Are
it.
they getting, are they getting paid through our step funds?
no, they're not.
Okay.
No.
If they were,
Donna.
yeah, if they were, I would be on it. And but
Yeah,
they're hired through A&E grants and they're hired through Choices Grant and so they're providing those and they did it for the courses during the school year, so they know the process and they know that they could do it.
Yeah.
They're just refusing to do it unless they're directed to do it, and the director that or the person that has the ability to direct them to do it is also not interested in forcing anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
You could always let the program officer of those grants know what's going on. Because, we are stewards over these grants and would like for, the funds to be used as we have, distributed them to be used. So you can always do that too.
Yeah, and to be honest, the thing that Allison was showing with all the grants and all the activities that they're going through with all the grants, that's what I'm used to seeing and doing. But we're not kept in the loop on the details of those grants. We're, those team meetings that I initiated, we still are just scratching the surface and the amount of information that we're getting about what are the grant goals, what are the grant activities, can we partner? We have to force those conversations. So it is extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I hear you, Carl. I mean, you're trying to move it forward, but you don't necessarily have the authority or, the supervisory power or authority over people, but it would be a best practice. And that it will, when you guys work together, that will benefit the students coming through your program.
Yeah.
I understand your frustration.
Yeah, that's it. And so we're working on it. So we hopefully will make some progress.
Yeah. And I mean, building steps, you have these meetings, so slowly by slowly, hopefully it'll improve and at least give an opportunity and a place to have some type of conversation to bring people along.
Yeah. And I know there's other people that are frustrated like I am and participating in the meeting and trying to get things to move along. It's just, there's just resistance, from few key people. And when you have resistance from key people, that attitude trickles down. Trickles a key person that has an attitude of, you know what you need to know when you need to know it. That attitude kind of trickles down and can be adopted by other people. And it's a difficult one to work through.
Yeah.
I'll share a frustration with you so that you don't think my life is all hunky-dory. Everything's not fabulous. We have an issue with people requesting application packages for various things like our CTE teacher credential program or our Grow Your Own Administrator program, and I'll send it to them, or Lisa will send it to them, or Marley will send it to them, and we'll, like, I had this one lady 5 times. I'm like, okay, so I kept on sending her the forms, and she's like, oh yeah, I'll get it to you, I'll get back to you. And then she gets it back to me, and very clearly it states that, you know, Indian person is identified, and I have the definition from Department of Ed, and then they need to give us their certification so that we know that we're serving Native peoples, right? And I'm like, I can't admit you until I get your certification. I need your enroll ID number, you know, nothing. And so my struggle is with incomplete paperwork.
Mm.
They'll give me, so, I mean, I had 50 applicants, only 4 completed their documentation out of 50. And
Yeah.
out of those 4, I mean, we went through processes, and then we came down to the very end, and we scheduled like live scan and drug test, and they wouldn't show up.
Oh,
So I'm like, okay, what are your fingerprints going to show? And why don't you want to take a drug test?
right.
And I'm like, we're federally funded. We have a drug-free workplace policy. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a frustration for you right there. Not everything over here in Blue Lake Rancheria is perfect.
No,
But that's, you know, with the things beyond your control, you have to just kind of go, there's no way I can force anybody to do anything. I
Yeah.
can offer them incentives, I can offer them help, I can help remove barriers. But when it comes down to it, if that person really, honest to God, wants help, wants a job, wants whatever, they have to have the motivation to complete everything that needs to be completed in order to get that done.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And motivating people to collaborate and be transparent and work together shouldn't be as difficult as it
Yeah.
is. But
But-
So
I get it. Thanks.
I
for
feel
sharing.
you. I feel you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, well, great sharing, you guys, and thank you for both supporting each other, and hopefully, you know, I guess Carl, you feel maybe a little bit of hope. I know you're doing some amazing work, and I believe that it will be, you know, so after some time and building new habits that, you know, things will change and get better.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next topic we were going to talk about was professional development, but because of the time, if you don't mind, I'm going to move this to our next talking circle, because I really want to kind of spend some time with this, and I don't want to have to rush this conversation. And I didn't want to sort of shorten the conversation we are currently having and speed you guys along in order to just hit an agenda item. So if you're okay, I would like to move this discussion to our next talking circle. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked a little bit about professional development, but there's a lot.
Yeah, you did. Awesome. So do you folks have any questions maybe that are not related to the talking circle, or you might have a broader question?
This, I guess, goes to Donna. When I know you're reviewing the APRs that were submitted, it's only been 18 days. So I know there's a lot of paperwork, and mine was lengthy, and I apologize. I can be verbose. I was just wondering, when do we expect to hear anything back, and at what time do I need to submit, like Olani mentioned earlier, budget revisions?
You can send your budget revision anytime you want. Yeah, I'm always open and get to those as soon as I can. For like a no cost extension, I'll be sending out all of that information closer to the end of July, the beginning of August, everything that you'll need to do to request a no cost extension.
Okay.
And then I try and review those as soon as I can. But I like to do those a little earlier than August, just so I have an idea of who is, you know, wants a no cost extension, and who will be going through with their final performance review, because that's, you know, I got to send the stuff out by the beginning of September for that. And then you have 120 days from the last day of your performance. So hopefully by towards the end of July, the beginning of August, I'll send out information about no cost extension.
Okay, we had one minor change. I won't say minor change, the budget is in the right place. We had planned to pay for tuition for the one specific thing, and now we want to pay for tuition for a different specific thing. And I didn't know if that changes anything. And I'm going to let you go ahead and read about it, so I don't take up time here. But I just didn't know, I need to make contracts with extended ed with Cal Poly Humboldt in order to spend that tuition. So I just
Okay.
wanted to, before I do, I want to make sure it's good with you, and then I'll move forward.
Okay, and that's in the APR already?
It is.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at that, hopefully tomorrow.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, again, thank you folks for sharing. I'm gonna pop up our end of event poll for you folks. Again, we use this your responses to improve our talking circles and all of our events. So your input is really helpful. And as you're doing that, I'm going to move on to some other pieces. So again, if you have any updates that you want to make to the email list, you can go ahead and send that to oie@seiservices.com, and you can see the information there. Also, please, in that email, CC your program officer, Donna Bussell, for that. Make sure that when you are providing that email list update, that you are including the name, role, and email address of the person you want us to either change their email or maybe include them, maybe new staff that you want to have receive the information from us. Also, again, the summer months are coming up, but we'll be here. So if you have any questions or you need some help with something, you can always reach out to us at that email at, sorry, oie@seiservices.com. Also, we are also doing coaching during the summer months. And so you can always sign up and schedule a one-on-one coaching session at that link at calendly.com. I'm sorry, of the end results. Oh, that's funny.
I think it's because you made her co-host.
Oh, sorry. That's probably what happened. Let me unco-host you. That way you can complete that. Okay. See if that helps, Allison. Then during the summer, again, we'll be continuing to have our monthly office hours. With the next one coming up is on May 25th. Again, those run from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. I know you folks are pros at the office hours and know that you can pop in and pop out. You can just listen and or ask a question. And actually, this has NYCP Talking Circle, but it should say the STEP Talking Circle will be on August 17th. Sorry about that. Again, if you have any questions, here are your contact information. Also, keep following us on Twitter if you haven't done so already at OIE Indian Ed. On Twitter, that we provide all different kinds of up-to-date information as it relates to OIE, but also other information across the landscape of Native American and Alaska Native, actually, and Indigenous education. So that's a great place to find resources. We're always sort of looking around for information. If you have an event that might be coming up, maybe like something that you want to invite people to, and you want to maybe share it on Twitter, you can always share it with us, and we'd be glad to sort of include that on the OIE Twitter account. Please make sure if there's any pictures with youth that you have the appropriate media release form so that we can make sure that that is all good to be sending out on social media. Thank you folks again for participating. Thank you for this super interesting conversation, and I hope it was relevant to the work that you're doing. Thank you for sharing both, what's working and what's not. They are all equal learning opportunities for everyone. Thank you and have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you maybe we'll see you at the STEP pre-application webinar coming up in June. Again, have a wonderful day and weekend. Take care.
Thank you. You guys have a good one too.
Bye, Carl.
Bye, everybody. See you
Bye.
next time, or see you at
Yeah.
the NYCP meeting next.
Yeah, that's true.
Us too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.